All right, all right. Peace and love, peace and love. It's your brother Isaiah tapping in with another one for all the brothers and sisters in the conscious community, keeping the struggle, because we know it's through the struggle that we grow. Also, I like to say that it is, in fact, a slow process for progress, and that the race is not to the swift, it's to those that remain dutiful. Make sure you stay in this thing for the long haul. Y'all already know my videos, they don't constitute any legal advice. I'm not a legal counsel or an attorney. I'm just your brother. I just share with you education and information about my walks, travels throughout my journey called life. Like to extend these honors to you when you're honoring man and you're honoring woman, you're honoring yourself. Let's give adoration to the Most High, Allah, who's the head temple of my life, and extend that same love, courtesy, and acknowledgement to his messengers and prophets. Peace to you, beloved brothers and sisters, and grand rising to all of God's chosen people. How's the beloved brothers and sisters today? Myself, I'm blessed. I'm taking everything in steps, stages, and degrees. I got a good one for you today, man. We on this consumer talk, man. You know, my consumer mode, man. You know, I say the consumer is one of the highest positions you can hold, being a consumer, right? Now check it out. We're coming from CFR, Title 12, uh, subsection 332.3. Going into definitions, y'all. So, let me get my screen together. So it says, as used in its context, unless, no, it says, as used in this part, unless the content otherwise requires. Now, an affiliate means any company that is controlled or controlled by, or is under common control with another company, right? So an affiliate could be like when you got two or more companies working together in order to, contract with consumers, usually like banks and lenders, things of that nature. Now, clear and conspicuous means that the notice is reasonably understood and designates to call attention to the nature and significance of the information in that notice. Okay, so when they're required to give specific notices and things like that, they have to make sure that it's clear and that it's conspicuous, meaning that it stands out from everything else in the document, right? I'll keep going. A little bit bigger. Okay, so example. Reasonably understandable. Make your notice reasonably understandable if you present the information in the notice in clear, concise sentences, paragraphs, and sections. Use short explanatory sentences or bullets, lists, whenever possible. Use definite, concrete, everyday words and active voice whenever possible. Avoid multiple negatives. Avoid legal and highly technical business terminologies whenever possible. And avoid explanations that are imprecise and readily subject to different interpretations. Designate to call attention. You design your notice to call attention to the nature and the significance of the information if you use a plain heading to cause attention to the notice. Now, y'all make sure y'all come in. When y'all come in, make sure y'all get them likes up now. Let me look and see what's going on here. Get them likes up. I'm see how many people we got in the building. All right. Okay, we got 13 people and 5 likes. Let's get them likes up. If you in there and you watching the video, you should be liking the video. If we don't get the likes up, I'm going to turn the video off. It's just that simple. I'm not playing with y'all. Y'all going to come in and y'all going to give me a like, because you shouldn't be on here if you ain't giving consideration. The same consideration I give, you're going to give it back in exchange, or I'm going to cut this video off. When you come on this live, make sure you give me a like for what I'm doing. All right? If you can sit here and listen to what I'm saying, you can hit the like button. 15 likes is 15 people. Should be 15 likes. Get your likes up. And if you ain't trying to get the likes, get off the live. That's right. Run away. Why you here? Okay, so now all right, so when you're causing attention, so when they're supposed to cause attention to the individual who's receiving a document, they have to use plain language, headings to cause attention to the notice. They use a typeface or a type size that are easily to read, provide wide margins and ample line spacing. Use boldface or italic for keywords, and in forms that combine your notice with other information. Use distinctive type size, style, and graphic devices such as shading or sideboards when you combine your notice with other information. Okay, now this is what they are required to do whenever they create like their agreements, their contracts, and they offer out these contracts. They have to follow certain rules, certain laws that are federally put into play that require them to issue the document in such a way, right? So a lot of time when you're receiving these documents, they're written and created the way they are for a specific purpose, all right? Now it says notice on your website. If you provide notice on your website, you design your notice to cause attention to the nature and significance of the information in it. If you use text or visual clue, is that clue or not? Choose to encourage, stroll down the page if necessary to view the entire notice and ensure that other elements on the website, such as text, graphics, hyperlinks, or sound, do not distract attention from the notice and you either, right? Now, place the notice on the screen that consumers frequently access, such as page on which transactions are conducted, or place a link on the screen that consumers frequently access, such as a page on which transactions are conducted that connect directly to the notice and label appropriately to convey the important nature and relevance of the notice. All right, so These are rules that they have to follow. All right. And you having like when I say you have to actually really study, and you can't be just stuck on one level. You have to actually be well-rounded. Without being well-rounded or having a teacher who can teach you properly, then it's going to take you, it's like working out in the gym and doing everything backwards. You working out though, but you're not eating right. Your exercises are wrong, but you're going to the gym every day. You're eating wrong, but you're working out wrong. You don't know how to do your reps or your sets right. But it might take, you might still get in shape. Now I ain't saying you ain't gonna get in shape, but it might take you a long time to get there because the way you're going about doing it, you know what I'm saying, versus knowing the correct way to do something and applying things correctly to see greater and quicker results. So, and it's the same thing when you're dealing with commercial law aspects. The more you know about what it is that you're dealing with, the easier it is for you to navigate the system, and a lot of people don't read enough or know how to research even to find information that they need, because part of this is being competent, and only when being competent can you know what to look for. You don't know what to look for if you don't know what to seek out. So learning, educating yourself so you can figure out what you need, what you need to be reading and stuff is critical. Make sure y'all get a like, share out the live, man, to somebody else that need this information, that could be a privilege in this information. Y'all got to start sharing with other people. Sharing is caring, man. When you come on the live, give a like. That's one of the first things you should do, is like the live, because you should be liking the information. If you on my platform and you got a notice and you came to listen to what I have to say, the first thing you should do is give a like, because I'm pouring into you. So if I'm pouring into you and I'm giving you something and you can't give a like, then that says something about you as an individual, period. Now, when you go to collect, means to obtain information that you organize or you can retrieve by the name of an individual, or by identifying number, symbol, or identifying particular assigned to the individual in respects of the source of the underlying information. So when they collect, right, this is part of the requirement that at the time of collecting information, that they collect enough information to identify a particular individual who the information pertains to. So if the information pertains to you, at the time of entering into the agreement, they will collect up information pertaining to your identity so that you can be identified as the owner, as the party of interest, or whatever that situation pertains to. But most of us, we don't get it. It'll come to you once you start learning, right? Now, a company means any corporation, limited liability company, business, trust, general, or a limited partnership, association, or similar organization. And the consumer is an individual who obtains or has obtained a financial product or service from you that is to be used primarily for personal, family, or household purposes, or that individual's legal representative. So it's telling the lender or the one holding the account that what the relationship is. All right. So it's telling them who the consumer is. The consumer is the one who's applying for a financial product. That's why we have to put in an application, because the product that we want is financial. We want financial support. They're bankrupt. They don't have no money. They ain't got nothing. Anytime you have to put in an application, you're applying for financing. You're applying for something financial. Okay? It's always important to look at it in that sense. Right? Now, examples: an individual who applies to you for credit for personal, family, or household purposes is a consumer of a financial service regardless of whether the credit is extended. So even if they don't extend credit, right? Even if they don't give you what you applied for, you still considered as his consumer, right? Because you acquire a financial product from him, right? Now, an individual who provides non-public personal information to you in order to obtain a determination about whether he or she may qualify, right, to obtain a determination about whether he or she may qualify for a loan to be used primarily for personal, family, and household purposes, a consumer of a financial service, regardless of whether that loan is extended, right? So we're gonna go back. I want to show you something, right? So anytime you apply for a loan, you're applying for a financial product. Some consumers enter into credit agreements and some consumers enter into loan agreements. It's a difference in the mindset of each individual that determines the outcome of the transaction, right? An individual who provides non-public information to you in connection with obtaining or seeking to obtain financial, investment, economic, advisory service is a consumer regardless of whether you establish a continuing advisory relationship. If you hold ownership or servicing rights to an individual loan that is used primarily for personal, family, or household purposes, the individual is your consumer, even if you hold those rights in conjunction with one or more institutions. The individual is also a consumer with respects to other financial institutions involved. An individual who has a loan in which you have ownership or servicing rights. So listen, I've been teaching y'all that when you enter into a contract with a lender, you don't own the contract. You only got a security interest in the contract. The lender owns the contract. He's the owner. He's the maker or the drawer, the owner, right? The original issuer or creditor, right? He's trying to sell you part of his estate. He's trying to loan you or something from his estate as long as you pay for it. All right. So you gotta get your concepts right, because a lot of y'all don't understand that the one servicing you is the owner of the agreement that he's servicing you on. All right. So he's the owner and the servicer, right? If you hold ownership or servicing rights, because some of them just hold servicing rights because they're not the actual owner, they might be a third party in possession. You know what I'm saying? Where it got transferred to another party, but in some instances, you'll be dealing directly with the owner, and the owner will be your servicer. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that aspect too, right? Now let me go back where I say okay. All right, so let me read it again. If you hold ownership or servicing rights to an individual loan that is used primarily for personal, family, or household purposes, the individual is your consumer, even if you hold those rights in conjunction with one or more institutions. The individual is also with respects to other financial institutions involved. An individual has a loan in which you have ownership or servicing rights is your consumer, even if another institution with those rights hired an agent to collect on the loan. All right. an individual who is a consumer of another financial institution is not your consumer solely because you act as an agent or provide processing or services to that financial institution. An individual is not your consumer solely because he or she designates you as a trustee for a trust. So, like, most of y'all don't know, like, a lot of y'all designating yourself as trustees, but you can designate a bank as your trustee. You can designate the state as your trustee, right? And give the state trusteeship, which they are already acting in that position anyway. They just acting without an official authority coming from you. They acting under the assumption or under the operation of law, right? But you have the rights to directly direct them in control of the relationship between you and the state or you and any other person, right? So understanding that, you know, you can designate them as your trustee too, right? In a trust. Instead of you being the trustee, you can make the state your trustee. But a lot of people, you know, a lot of things are not being taught. So of course we don't know, right? All right, so an individual is not your consumer solely because he or she is a beneficiary of a trust for which you are a trustee, right? An individual is not your consumer solely because he or she is a participant or beneficiary of an employment benefit plan that you sponsor or for which you act as a trustee or fiduciary, right? So it's telling you in so many words, like letting them know this is actually written out to them, all right? But I'm showing it to you because when you read it, it helps you better understand how the relationships are supposed to be set up. Now, consumer reporting agency, we know what that is, right? Now, when you deal with, like, I'm gonna say this real quick, all right? You see that Consumer Reporting Agency or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. All right, let me click on this real quick. 15 USC. Hey, click on that real quick. What's this? All right, so the Fair Debt Collection Practices, not the Fair Debt, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, right? The Fair Credit Reporting Act means that it's an act basically saying that they have to do accurate reporting, right? Now, I want you to think about something, right? And when I say this, I want you to just think about what I'm saying, right? So if they're required to do, hey, y'all, get them likes up. We got 24 people and 12 likes. Come on, y'all. Let's get it together. Now, what I want to say is that if they have to do accurate reporting, right? Now, when we deal with TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, right? When you actually write to them and you're disputing credit, right, on a profile, or you're disputing a credit profile, all right, because that's what it is. It's a credit profile. And when you enter into agreements with lenders, you're entering into what is known as credit agreements. All right. But they're misrepresenting the nature of the agreement because they're not acknowledging it as a credit agreement. They're treating it as some type of sales agreement, like you have to pay for something when they bankrupt. They're bankrupt. They can't enter you into no kind of agreement outside of credit. You see what I'm saying? In the misrepresentation of the nature of the transaction, in which now they're reporting your rights to credit as an obligation that's hindering your rights to have a house, to have a car. But the lender who hold your rights to the credit is reporting the credit as a due principal amount you owe instead of a credit amount you owe. All right. He's reporting inaccurate reports to the lender, to the credit reporting agency. Why? Because he's reporting your due obligation as a principal obligation rather than as an obligation of interest. Because and now you have to correct that, because you have to be the one that identifies that that what he's reporting is inaccurate, because what you already issued the principal, so he shouldn't be issuing a principal amount due on your account. If he say you owe 50,000 and that's the total amount of your loan amount, and he's saying that that's the total amount you owe, he lied. You don't owe him 50,000, because you already gave him the 50,000 when you gave him the note. When you gave him the note, he received 50,000 in principal. What you didn't pay was the unpaid balance of that loan. So now he's reporting that balance as if it's the principal balance. That's inaccurate. That is not the principal balance that I owe. So I just want you to think, I'm just here to, like I said, I just want you to think, man, because we got to be thinkers. When somebody's manipulating you, playing on your intelligence, because they know you're not, or we don't have the level of education that we were supposed to have. So we're financially illiterate. Well, I ain't gonna say it now, but I'm just saying that that's the way that they put us in a web, to where they knew that the level of education the schools would give us would never give us enough education in order to be merchants, in order to be self-sufficient. It would always make us dependent on somebody else doing for us what we really have the ability to do for ourselves. You see what I'm saying? And then taking up and consuming all your time at work and all these jobs, so you don't have time to learn. You don't have time to discover like stuff like what we reading on the screen, so you can really understand what's really happening. Okay, all these things that they do is it's part of a system to keep you in the matrix, right? But let's keep going, though. Let's keep going. Let's see what else we can get out of this, right? Now, let me go down. I would think I was down here. Okay. All right. Now we say control. Now we get into control. Control of a company means ownership, control. Now, let me stop right there. They say own nothing, control everything. Now, that conflicts with what we're reading. Now, don't y'all beat Brother Isaiah up, because I'm exposing the hand on a bunch of people that don't study. Okay? They say own nothing, control everything. Give it to the trust, and let the trust, something still gotta own it. If you don't own it, the trust own it. What's the difference in my trust owning property and me as an individual outright owning property? They say, oh, because you got more rights with the trust, you got more rights as a man. As an individual, you have absolute rights. See what I'm saying? But it's the lack of knowing how to even manage your own property, your own personal wealth. You can never have wealth if you can't manage your own property. Wealth comes with management. In property, understanding all elements of property. If you only understand property on certain levels, you will never be wealthy. It's impossible. It's an impossibility, unless you hit a lottery or something, you strike gold or something. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, just based off, an enterprise of your own mindset, creating your own wealth. Okay, creating a way for you and your family to generate wealth. All right. Wealth comes from a wealthy mindset. All right, let's keep going. Now, ownership. Now, in order to have control, you got to have ownership. That's the first element to controlling something, is to own it first. You can't control what you don't own. It's just like coming over and talking about, you're going to tell my children what to do, and you don't own them children. Them children are not, you're not the one that's over those, seeing over them. So you can't control. It's just like coming over here. That's why it's an issue with the state telling you what to do with your vehicle. Why? Because you are the owner of the vehicle. But you know why the state get to tell you what to do with your vehicle? Because there's certain things that you don't know, and certain things that you haven't learned, and you keep taking your property to the state. because you don't understand property rights. And if you understood property rights, then you wouldn't have those problems. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lack of understanding certain things that we have to learn over time and grow into. Okay? You have to grow into it. So ownership, control, or power to vote percent 25% or more of the outstanding shares. All right. So when it says power to vote 25% or more of the outstanding shares, any outstanding shares that the entity owes that can be assigned or used. And then, like they when they do shares too, a lot of these companies, like when you own shares in a company, the shares that they own are the instruments that they sell. So say for instance, when you buy a lease or you buy a contract from a company, they those instruments are shares of the investors. Each investor has a certain share in that instrument. They have an investment in all of the shares of the company. So anything the company sells, all the investors get a certain percentage of the sales, right? So say for instance, they selling you an instrument on the public record, on the, like when you look at the retail market value of that product on the face value, it might say $50,000, right? Now you going and you trying to purchase this thing for 50,000, all right? But as a share being sold from the company, it's 0.1% of the company's shares. So even though it's 50,000 on the market value, as a share, it's below a penny. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you realize what they doing and you be like, oh my God, so they can sell unlimited shares at a face value of 50,000 to the people, to the public, but each one of the shares being sold is less than 1% of what I'm owed from the company. So it's like, oh wow, when you start really looking at the ramifications of how they got this stuff set up, and you be like, wow, man, like these people making hand over fist money. Like for real. I ain't playing. Hand over fist money. Money you couldn't even imagine. It's facts. All right, let's keep going. All right, so now let me read that again. Ownership, control, or power to vote 25% or more of the outstanding shares of any class of voting securities of the company, directly or indirectly, or acting through one or more other persons, control in a manner over the election of a majority of the directors, trustees, general partners, and individuals exercising similar functions of the company, or the power to exercise directly or indirectly a controlling influence over the management or policies of the company as the FDIC determines. Then it says customer means a consumer who has a customer relationship with you. Customer relationship means a continuing relationship between a consumer and you, under which you provide one or more financial products or services to the consumer that are to be used primarily for personal, family, or household purposes. So whenever they give you a product, a lease, a license, a mortgage, or any kind of financial product, they supposed to use it for you. If they collect it from you rather than issue it for your use, they in violation of the agreement. They in violation because the consumer has the rights to consume. And when they issue you a product, they supposed to issue it for your benefit. If you paying them, that's not beneficial. Okay? That's not beneficial at all. Okay? I want you to see it for yourself because they got it written in their laws. Example, continuing relationship, right? A consumer has a continuing relationship with you if the consumer has a deposit or an investment account with you, obtain a loan from you, has a loan for which you own servicing rights, purchases an insurance product from you, holds an investment product through which you, such as when you act as custodian for security or for assets in an individual retirement assignment, enter into an agreement or understanding with you whereby you undertake to arrange or broker a home mortgage loan for the consumer, enter into a lease of personal property with you, or obtain financial investments or economic advisory services from you for a fee. No continuing relationship. A consumer does not, however, have a continuing relationship with you if the consumer obtains a financial product or a service only in isolated transactions, such as using your ATM to withdraw cash from an account at another financial institution or purchasing a cashier's check or a money order. You sell the consumer a loan and do not retain the rights to service that loan. So say for instance, if they sell you a loan and then you transfer it to the treasury or assign it to somebody else, then they don't have the rights because they don't longer service the loan. Somebody else is servicing it. Now you transferred it to another servicer. So that's the way, when you start getting into it, it'll start making a whole lot of sense to you about what all this stuff really is. And when you start realizing, you're gonna realize, like, man, it's all the same stuff. It's the same stuff, just in different ways of expression. All right. You sell the consumer airline tickets, travel insurance, or traveler's check in isolated transactions. All right. And then it goes into, all right, so let me go down. I'm gonna go past this part. All right, I want to go to this part right here because I feel like this part is very important, that all you guys need to understand financial institutions, right? Because it's very important. We got 35 people, y'all. We only got 20 likes. Can we get 15 more people to please give us a like? Please share the live out and share it with somebody else and let them know that Brother Isaiah is out here giving out good information that can benefit them and their family. You know what I'm saying? So tag another friend, tag a loved one, and tell them to tap in, man. Share the love, share the live. All right. Now, a financial institution, right, means any institution, right, the business of which is engaging in activities that are financial in nature or incidental to such financial activities, as described in Section 4K of the Bank Holding Company Act of 1956. Now, that's very important because a lot of y'all, when y'all think of financial institutions, you only think of banks and credit unions. But according to what we're reading on the screen, if they into the business of doing financial transactions such as receiving deposits, processing deposits, doing EFTs, receiving EFTs, receiving checks, money orders, they're operating already as a financial institution. So it's very important that you understand what a financial institution is, because it plays a very significant role in rights that you have, right? Now, financial institution does not include any person or entity with respects to any financial activity that is subject to the jurisdiction of the Community Future Trading Commission under the Commodity Exchange Act right? And it gives us that code, right? So if you want to know, you have to go read it, right? The Federal Agricultural Mortgage Corporation or any entity chartered and operating under the Farm Credit Act. So the Farm Credit Act. So they got an act for everything, and that's what you're gonna learn. Institutions chartered by Congress specifically to engage in securitization, secondary market sales, including sales of service rights, or similar transactions related to the transactions of a consumer, as long as such institutions does not sell or transfer non-public personal information to a non-affiliated third party, right? So they can sell it to an affiliated party, but not to a non-affiliated party. So a lot of times when you're dealing with the banks, they selling the information to the Federal Reserve, all right? Because they are affiliated with the Federal Reserve, all right? So it's a lot of things there, but they ain't supposed to be selling your personal information without your consent. Now, a financial product or a service, any, it didn't say some, it didn't say maybe this one. It didn't say, well, Brother Isaiah, do you think that applies to my lease? Oh, Brother Isaiah, do you think it says any? So I'm going to let that resonate for a minute. Now, any product or service that a financial holding company. Now, we was just looking up financial institution, right? And I told you, I said, you need to pay close attention to the word financial institution, right? Because a financial institution is an institution that does financial transactions in any class of transactions. So when you're dealing with your gas company, water company, all these companies, these are financial institutions. Why? And they offer financial products and financial services. You got to get the real understanding of what's happening, right? Now let's keep going. Now, a financial product or service means any product or service that a financial holding company, so they are not just a financial institution, they are a financial holding company, right? Could offer by engaging in an activity that is financial in nature or incidental to such a financial activity under Section 4K of the Bank Holding Act. So the key word is when you enter into these agreements with these financial institutions, they're offering you a financial product for financial services. Okay? All right, we're going to get to it. Let's keep reading. Financial service includes your evaluation or brokerage of information. What is a brokerage? Huh? When somebody's in the business of doing brokerage transactions, I want you to look that up. Look that up because they're acting as a financial holding institution that's doing brokerage transactions. Now somebody gonna have to explain something to Brother Isaiah because I want to understand why this wasn't taught to us in school. Why they didn't teach us this? Why they didn't show us and explain to us that throughout our life we was going to be dealing with financial holding companies? I wonder why. So a financial service includes your evaluation of brokerage information that you collect in connection with respects or an application from a consumer for a financial product or service. So a brokerage, so when they enter into an agreement with you, they're supposed to be evaluating or the brokerage of your information. So I ain't gonna. I'm gonna let it go right here, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all go in here and do your own due diligence, to learn a little bit more about, what this is talking about. But it's very important that you understand your relationship with your service provider and that you get more familiar with how the service provider and the consumer are supposed to be interacting with each other, and reading the right information and knowing how to find that information is critical because it allows you to see uh, inside, look through the door because right now you outside and you want to be able to walk in. That way you can, reap the benefits, everything behind the door. But the way to get into the door is to equip yourself with the right equipment that unlocks the door. And that what unlocks the door is knowledge, wisdom, and ultimately your understanding overall. So you being able to study, and study until it develops. And I can't stress it enough. The mind is beautiful. It's magnificent. It's one of the best things that we've been given. And if you allow it to work, it will work in your favor. Just give it the right stuff. Feed it the right type. Your mind is just like a garden. You gotta plant the right seeds into your mind to grow the right type of things in your life. This is how it goes. Everything in life we have to find the right structure, the right way to do a thing in order to reap the full benefits of this life. So remember, your mind is just like a garden. So make sure you start planting the right type of seeds into your garden. Make sure you nurture, you water, and that you keep parasites from your garden, that you protect your garden by all means. You know what I'm saying? Like facts, I can't make it up. This is the most precious thing that we have, and you can't let nobody take that away from you. And your ability to use that thing that you've been given to push you to the next levels. This thing inside of you is very unique, and it can do great things. It built this body that you in. Okay, look at your flesh. What made it is inside it, huh? That thing that we talking about is you. That thing, that what we can't explain it. That energy, that life force in that body, that's you. Yes, that's you. You are that source. You are that power that's being contained, being trapped, being suppressed, not just by the world, but by our own lack of understanding of who we truly are, being wrapped up in the flesh and being more conducive to our fleshly selves rather than the true self of who we truly are. Part of this is waking up, man, like really waking up, because part of waking up is you wake up on all levels. There's many dimensions. He got many dimensions, and we have to slowly unlock those doors. Some of us start with commerce, some of us start with health, some of us start with many different things that we find that leads us to the truth, that leads us to a structure starting to change, to grow in a direction towards something better, something for ourselves and our families and things like that. All right. Don't sell yourself cheap. Always treat yourself to the right information. Never cheat yourself. Like when you play sports or you look at sports all day or you watch television you're cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself because the system is eating you up, because that's all that does is that propagates and promotes what they call subliminal suggestion. all the things that they put out is to induce you. This is a system based off inducement, and a lot of things that they do it by advertisement. You know, they don't force you to do anything. They advertise to you. They make you desire or lust for something. So they say, oh, this pill will do this, and you want your husband to do this, and they come up with ways to spark your interest to get you to feed into what they doing. You know what I'm saying? And then before you know it, you just start taking these pills, and now you're having bladder problems or you got other issues, and one thing after another. So just be mindful, y'all. Stay prayed up by all means. Uh, Study, man, so you can know the truth. That way you ain't got to guess, you ain't got to assume. Know your rights or you don't have none. They say no rights or no rights. So either you know your rights or you have no rights. Okay? And your rights are your remedy. I'm going to say it again. I can't say it enough. Either you know your rights or you have no rights. No rights or no rights. Right? You got to learn how to protect yourself. All right? Your rights represent your remedy. Your rights represent your remedy. I'm going to have to get some shirts made. Your rights represent your remedy. So not knowing your rights, meaning you don't have a remedy to remedy any of the situations legally or financially or civilly that's being asserted against you. So know your rights. All right. Peace and love. It was my pleasure, as always, to come before you guys and share a body of information with you. You guys go back and you guys take your time and read through this carefully, study it well, get a better understanding of the service provider and the service and how they service you with servicing you with financial products. Learn how to assert yourself properly so that you can reap the benefits of what this life is for. You're not here to be a debtor. You're not here to work until you turn gray. You're not here to serve no other man or serve no other woman or serve no man or no man's institution. All right? You're not here for any of that. You're here because you have a divine mission. You have purpose. And instead of you servicing somebody else, it's time to service yourself. It's time to service you and your family and become merchants. And y'all start doing things for you and your generation and wealth for you and your family. The same thing that other families are doing, you do those exact same things, and you can do them. And it don't require for you to have no money to do them. What it requires is for you to have knowledge and understanding and knowing how to correct wrong when it's not right. And when you learn how to do that, you can fix a lot of things that's holding you back. All right. With that said, man, I leave y'all as I came in love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality for us all. Y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. Catch y'all in the next one. I'm out of here.